Hey, what's up, everybody? So I haven't streamed in a while, so I figured, why not? And so this is one that I've already started. I figured it'd be a little bit easier to segue into this with something I've already been working on. But you guys can direct the stream and let me know what you'd like to see. I always like to get your feedback as I go. So yeah, so just picking away at this one. By the way, if this looks familiar, which it probably does because I stayed pretty close to the actual one, I got inspired by an X-Men cover that I saw by Carlos Gomez, and so even though I redrew this character in my own style, it's very much derived from that cover. So just to kind of divulge that, so it's not like I tried pawning it off on my own creation. I just wanted to learn from that cover piece. So, but no tracing, no. I just looked at that, drew my own version, changed it a bit as I went. All right, we got our first person here. Cool. Good to have you. Bra Crazy. Can I show you how to draw like Ryan Otley? Yeah, I wish. I mean, I could emulate, a little bit of his style. I could try, but there's only one Ryan Otley, you know. Um, yeah, his style is very unique and creative and inspiring for sure. I think we all have to be careful too, though, when we do try to draw like other artists. Is that I don't know. I saw this thing in one of the McFarlane interviews years ago, and he was just saying that you're better off doing your own thing. You can definitely learn from other artists. I mean, that's even what I did here. Is I looked at that cover by Carlos Gomez and started redrawing it. And although I'm trying to learn from him, I have to make sure that I don't just stare at the work, right? I don't just start verbatimly trying to capture or copy the work. It takes the creativity out, I think, a little bit. Like there's a part where you learn, and there's a part where you have to just do your own thing as you go and figure it out. And I think that's a lot more important. You really want your own style in there. But McFarlane had put something in the interview to the degree that um, you know at the very best case scenario, you just become a second rate version of that artist. And so he was like, it's so much more important that you create your own style and message in there. It's like that's what comics is. Like a lot of it's your distinct style, right? That's what people want to see. I don't know. He said it better than I can. You just have to probably Google that video. It was one of the ones I think it was one of the ones with him. It was Stan Lee, if I remember. But I don't know. I need to create a playlist of his stuff. Um, no, I wouldn't say. Hey Corey, good to have you, man. I wouldn't say that my art style is harder and more detailed. He does some areas in his work, and this is all subjective in my opinions. Obviously, but he does some areas in his work that could be perceived as light and stylistic or heavily cartooned. But he also gets into some super detailed and heavy rendering when he chooses to. And lately it seems like a lot of his art pieces have been even more and more heavily rendered. But even when he was starting out with Invincible, and again, these are just my opinions, he was very had a lot more of a light and airy style, letting maybe a lot of the colorists do the work and stuff like that. But then every now and then he would draw these really neat geometric, robot scenes and ship scenes and techie stuff, and it was just intense. So I think he was just sort of holding back, and then I don't know. Lately, it seems like his stuff is very hyper detailed now all of a sudden, but um, I don't know. I think he just left a lot of heavy cartoon elements in there because it's smart. Like when you cartoon properly, the characters look and feel very alive, and he tells a great story with that. So yeah, I always look at his stuff and go, yeah, it can seem light in areas, but then it's just so well done. I think that one of the things, and I've never met the guy, I never got the pleasure of talking with him about his art, but it seems like he would be one of those people that focuses on. There's a there's a lot of talk where people talk about line. It's not consistency. It sounds like that. It's what's the word I'm thinking of? Where you just use lines sparingly. Um, Yikes. Yeah, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on that one. Help me out, people. I know we only got a couple of people here, but when you when you use lines very sparingly, and you don't just throw them in for the sake of throwing them in, efficiency, goodness, line efficiency. And so to me, Ryan Otley's style is a perfect example of line efficiency. And to me, that's also what cartooning is. There's a lot of cartoon styles where they are very efficient with their lines and not just, sporadically throwing them in for the sake of adding lots of lines everywhere. Like more is better. Like sometimes more is better. So what's been up, people? Like comment and let me know. I know there's probably only a couple here. Oh, and also is the stream coming through all right? It's saying warning, the stream's bit rate is lower than recommended. I hope my internet's not messing with me today, folks. Go figure. I never stream, and then when I decide to, I get a low bit rate. All right, is anybody out there? I'm just gonna keep rambling to myself here as I draw the picture. Oh, good. Thanks, Corey. Appreciate that. Well, I'm glad the stream's coming through. All right. As of now, we'll see how it goes. So let me know if you guys got any specific questions. I could, and I could take a break from this and draw something else if there's something explanatory you'd rather watch, see, upcoming video requests, any of that good stuff. I'm always looking for the feedback. So yeah, do I have my own comics? Yeah, so I've worked on multiple comics, not a lot, but Air and Assault way back in the day for Time Press. I have a comic of my character Blackstone. I've only done book one, but it's out there. It's on my Gumroad. It's on Indie Planet, one of those like Kablam or whatever, where you can like get a printed copy, print on demand. So there's that. I have my Learn to Draw Action Heroes book, which I did, which is now under Penguin Random House. That's usually find that in like Hobby Lobby, Barnes and Noble, Border. I don't think there's a Borders anymore, is there? Barnes and Noble has it. Things like that. So that's how to draw books and not a comic, I guess. But and then I just did 3 issues as an anchor for some books for Corvus Comics. So one book on Goliath and then 2 on Moses. And I'm done with that project. I actually pulled myself off of that one just because I just couldn't do the inking no more. It's I thought I would be able to do it for a sustained period of time, and I realized I only like inking my work. So I came to that conclusion. Like, yeah, I don't want to be an inker. My hat's off to people that do that for long periods of time on comics. It's amazing. But it's harder than I thought as far as like the mental conditioning of it. Like it's a lot to ink every day. It's a lot to do comics every day. Like I really do have a newfound appreciation for comic artists. I mean, me, I'm more of a digital online creator. I don't even know what to call myself these days, but I create comic art. I share videos. I sell courses. Right. I interact on YouTube. All this stuff. Uh, and I've done some comic work. I've done some comics. I've done covers. Um, I just did a cover for another company, and I got another one on the forefront. And so I do occasional covers and things like that. Um, but it's not enough to say, yeah, I'm a comic artist that works on a book monthly. And after doing that with inking, it was like, wow, it is a grind. It is a grind to stay on something 12 hours a day, just pumping it out and maybe getting your weekends off and stuff like that. But if you fall behind, you're even using those. I don't know. I don't know how people do it. Like it amazes me. And so almost like back to what we started with talking about Ryan Otley's work, especially in the beginning of Invincible. I think that his line efficiency and they even make jokes about reusing panels inside the comic. I love that about those books. But that line efficiency idea is so important for when you do work on these books. I mean, like, all right, like this, I'm trying to go super detailed. Like, I'm spending a lot of time on the hair. I wouldn't even do that if I was on a monthly book. I don't even know if I could detail hair this way. I would like fill it in as a big shape and then come back with white out. Like, it would just be, you'd almost have to. Like, it's just, again, that kind of efficiency to stand some crazy schedule like that. Um, okay, so just going back a couple questions here. One of them from Corey is, would you mind explaining the rendering on the face? So honestly, I pulled this reference from the work of Carlos Gomez on an X-Men cover. Let me see if I can pull up the actual X-Men Legends cover. I was just inspired by the piece, and he's got a lot of shadow on the face of Nightcrawler on that one. So that's really where I pulled it from. But to me, this is a dual light source. So whenever you run the shadow down the middle of the face, so if you look at the chin and the mouth, that's just showing that when I go to color it, there's going to be a one color here and another color there. So a dual light source is going to push the shadow to the middle. I know there's a technical term for it, core shadow, something I can't remember what it's called, but that's what I'm thinking anyways. But again, it was also originally influenced by the fact that I was studying that cover and I saw a lot of heavy shadows on the face, which I think on a character like Nightcrawler, you want a lot of shadows anyways. It just sort of pushes the blue. Like you always add, or I don't want to say always, but you typically add more shadows for anything that's darker, right? So the blue in his suit and his face pretty dark, so heavier shadows make more sense. Plus that sort of eeriness to a character like him, say drawing a character like Spawn, typically heavy shadows and darker tones just make it fit the narrative a bit more, at least my opinion. Yeah, and that is why another reason why I kind of stepped away. I've always thought of myself as traditionally a penciler. Now, I'm not saying I'm good enough to be a penciler for big titles and things like that, but it's sort of hard when you think of yourself in a certain way. It's always been your goal, your thing, and then you compromise to do something else. And so inking for me was a little bit of that compromise. Now here you see me inking, but it's my drawing, even though like I said, I studied from that other artist on this one. But so yeah, there was that, like a little bit of that compromise. Um, because for me, I don't I don't know. I just started thinking too. I need to get back on my own comic. I've been drawing on Blackstone again, and I even thought about releasing a couple panels a week as an online comic, as a like almost like a low pressure, low barrier to entry kind of thing. Like so, release a couple, say here they are, check them out, give me some feedback, let me know what you guys think, and and then collect that together and finish the book. Like almost an accountability measure where if I'm releasing a couple or even a panel a week, like just through consistency, and then all of a sudden that thing just sort of just chugs along and gets done and brought together. I think I would rather do that than work on somebody else's book. You know, like I just have my own ideas and my own comics that I've wanted to do for so long. It feels like I just got to do them. You know, I don't know why I've really battled that, but trying to get that back on track. Yeah, and Mighty R, I'll be bringing some more traditional art videos. By the way, I've been drawing more traditionally as well. It's just the camera setup is always a pain. Uh, I wish I had a better setup for that, but it always gets in the way of me drawing. And I'm like one of these people where I hunch over my art and get real close to it. So then my head like starts popping up in front of the video. So yeah, I'll be bringing more traditional art videos, but I'm trying to really get a better setup where I can feel comfortable sitting there and drawing for any length of time. I'll have to go back to the old one I used to have. So I had one where the table was in front of me flat, and I had it set up as like in reverse, like it was over the table and backwards, and that actually worked out. In hindsight, looking back at that, that actually worked out the best. Even though it was just didn't seem the most appropriate, but it was out of the way the most, so I could draw more naturally. But digital is far easier to capture all this. That's why I gravitate back to it. And I usually ink digitally the most. Oh, by the way, I do have to do a traditional art video for you guys pretty quick here. And I mean have to because they sent me some free markers from Honolulu, or it's Hulu. Oh, Hoo. Yeah, so they gave me some more markers, their new set or whatever. And I'm doing a sponsored video for them. So we'll be doing some traditional art with those very soon. Yeah, those guys are awesome. Love that company. Their markers are pretty sweet. You know, I'm not really a big marker guy, but man, when they send you those nice markers, kind of hard not to want to use them. So maybe they'll convert me into a marker dude. Mighty art, free markers, nice. I know it, isn't it? I love free art supplies. Like that's probably the best thing about having a YouTube channel is free art supplies. All right, let me go back and read a couple of these. Sorry if I'm missing any of these. And thanks you guys for showing up. I was really kind of worried. The channel hasn't been thriving as well, and I haven't went live nearly as much. And forgive me for that. Trying to recommit here. So thanks for showing me. There's still some people that'll watch some videos here and there with me. I appreciate that very much, more than you know. So yeah, let me read a couple of these. Mark Bagley used to draw, or Bagley used to draw 2 Spider-Man issues per month. That's insane. Can't believe that. Yeah, and I think I was just talking to somebody. It was my buddy Chris Scalp. Um, he does amazing digital paint work and 3D work, and I was talking to him about uh, Jack Kirby, and I want to say when we were talking, it popped up in my head. I think I'm the one that said this, but I heard it from somebody else. Didn't he used to at one point pencil like 3 books a month? I don't think he was inking them, but still, I mean, just that's insane if that's true. And I'm pretty sure I heard that from multiple sources. Yeah, just reading through these real quick, and I'll get back to drawing. Okay, so Corey asks about ergonomics. Yeah, as I'm sitting here with a iPad on my lap, looking down, uh, like a chiropractor would probably walk up and smack me right now, um, or be like or you'd say thank you. Let me get your credit card. But like No, I typically, so I've got multiple setups. One, I have a Cintiq on an arm and an ergotronic arm, and it's okay, but I always feel the need to like pull it down and set it in front of me lower, which probably makes it not as okay as it could be, because the idea is that you really want your screens up parallel to your view and your neck as straight as possible, or your drawing surface. So a nice angled art table, really high angle, is better. For me, I'm one of those people that pivot off the back of my hand a lot, so it's harder for me to really draw that way. I don't draw like a painter would paint, right? Now, the other setup that I have, and I just plugged it back in, and I almost used it for today's stream, but it doesn't give me quite the clarity that the iPad does, is I have a drawing tablet. Let me look at it. What's the name of this? I forgot. Sense Labs drawing tablets. XENCE Labs, right? And they gifted me that for a video that I did on the channel here, and it is an amazing drawing device. It really is. It's like a Wacom or Wacom tablet or whatever, but it's probably better. I think it's better. It's a great tablet. And so what's neat about that one, or any device like that, is you set it on your lap or the table. I use my lap, but I look up at my screen and my neck is completely erect, right? My shoulders are back. Like I'm in the perfect position for drawing ergonomically. Best longevity spinal, you know, setup, right? Is really that device. Um, the problem is that it's just a little bit different to draw that way. I've been doing it for years. I can make some pretty decent art with it. Like, I don't think I can. I definitely don't ink to this level on it. Like, or at least I haven't been able to yet. I like always using the word yet versus I can't. So I'll say that I haven't been able to yet. I like drawing on it though. Like I just drew two or three art pieces with that setup the past few days to give myself a break from hunching over, and I like the way they came out. They actually came out pretty cool. What's really nice is you can hook up a massive screen to it. I always brag that up. Like, if you get sick of like wearing readers, for instance, it's nice to know that you can hook up your regular tablet to a screen that's sitting upright, and you can get a big screen if you hopefully you got access to one, or whatever, even your TV if you run through your PC or whatever, or Mac or whatever, and then bam, you get this massive screen. That's a pretty fun experience to draw that way. And again, it's really the best ergonomically, and I just bring that up because of what you said about that. Other than that, I really compromise my the way I sit based on the way I draw. Even traditionally, I've got my art table set at about, it's probably a 30-degree angle, if that. I don't like it really high up. Even though it's better for me, I typically feel like I'm losing something in the way that I draw. Probably from just years of drawing in an improper position. Unfortunately, it's gonna take a while to like break out of that. Turn up the volume on my mic. I can't. Yeah, I think I'm maxed out over here. Is anybody else having trouble hearing me? Oh, and a question from Steve explores more. Uh, Great stuff. Thank you for saying that. Why pencil so tightly if you're also inking? You know, I don't always, but I did it here because I was sort of just like not sure about the look of it. And the longer I stay unsure about the look of any given area, like so I'm soft erasing, redrawing, then I typically tighten up more. Oh, and by the way, as I was just mentioning the uh, the drawing process, this was actually drawn on with the Sense Labs tablet on my computer. So the other setup, by the way. So just to show you the difference there. And then, but as far as inking, I immediately felt the need to bring it to the iPad, where I just feel like the Apple Pencil and iPad for me is the best way to ink. So yeah, and I really shouldn't tighten up so much considering I'm going to ink it. There's certain artists that to me are just on a whole nother level of being amazing when they go from loose um, pencils, or what I would think compared to their finals is loose pencils. Some that come to mind, I'm gonna always yell out David Finch. He does it amazing where he like draws what I think is kind of loose, and then all of a sudden he adds all this detail on the inks. It's just killer. But it's almost like, yeah, of course that's David Finch. Of course he would do it that way. Another one is Kanan White. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Um, he's I follow him on IG. Just amazing stuff. Where I'm like looking at it and like, oh, is he gonna draw any more to that? And then he starts inking and he adds levels upon levels of detail in the inks. Just killer stuff. So I think some people can just see into the work more clearly, and sometimes I need to see the refinement a little bit more before I can jump in and start inking. Not for everything. I think that when it's stuff that is more organic or texture based, I'll just scribble in some lines and I'll just start texturing. It's a little bit easier then. But I really do need to skip steps like that, because then you save a tremendous amount of time, and that's the name of the game. Oh, volume is kind of low. Darn it. I don't know why it's doing that, which is so weird. This is the same way I record. Oh, you know what, though? Let me try something. Is that any better right there? Let's see, I actually do up the volume inside my videos through Adobe Premiere to compensate for the low volume. Yeah, Mark Silvestri too. Goes right from scribbles to details quick. Yeah, his stuff is just, again, on a whole nother level of creativity. I don't know how to quantify it or label it or whatever. Like, just there's something about the way that he draws that's like just on a whole nother level. There's levels to these games, right? So he has such energy to his work. Yeah, let me know if that audio got any better. I tried turning up the audio dial right on the Yeti here, the mic that I got, but yeah, not sure. Maybe, maybe not. I could try to talk louder, or I could try to talk in a more uh, a deeper voice. Maybe no. Sorry, just trying to be funny here. I've often thought about doing that. Maybe just talking in a more assertive voice. See if it does any better on my channel. It's good. All right, cool. Thank you. Do you fancy drawing digitally or with pencil and paper? Uh, yeah, so I go back and forth. I always have some traditional art on my art table. Like right now, I have a piece that I've been doing on Batman. You can see some of the posts I've been sharing on Instagram and TikTok, and just little clips here and there of different stuff that I work on. But I always have a traditional art piece or two in the works sitting over there. And then I go to that when I feel more, it's not the right choice of words. I'm just going to say after when I feel more stressed. I'm not trying to sound like I'm this stressed out guy, but I guess I am. But so for some reason, this process of digitally drawing can agitate me every now and then. And it really agitates me when the Apple Pencil starts skipping and messing up. It drives me bonkers. Like, I just want to throw the thing at that point. But I think it's actually micro stressors of working on glass. I really do. I feel like at some point your mind just goes, yeah, something's not right here. This isn't natural or as natural. And it just adds up, for me anyways. It's very subjective. But then the remedy for that for me is to go and draw on paper, to paint something, uh, to write on paper. Like, I get so caught up in writing all my notes by typing. Every now and then I stop and I just write some in my notebook, and I can feel a bit of like stress melt away. So I think a lot of times the digital devices are fantastic. I like using them, but every now and then I need a break. Just like I try to tell people whenever I can, I'm like, one of the best things for sparking creativity is just taking a break and going like camping or going to a new place. I don't know what it is about that, but it just fires up my imagination. And so I think that every now and then you just have to like get in touch with something that's not this, you know, techie digital stuff in some way. And it's, for some reason, it just sparks creativity. Or again, or that's, or I'm sharing too much about my own personal issues here. I don't know. That's just trying to be open here, I guess. Let's see. Is it possible to go live? Wait, is it possible to live on art these days, or would a 9 to 5 also be necessary? Sorry, I was looking at the word live, like you were talking about the live stream. Um, yeah, I think it's hard. I think it's hard. I really do. I don't want to church it up and be like, oh yeah, just art's so easy. Here's what's really weird about what I've been forced to sort of consider with my own channel here on YouTube. So a few years ago, I was like really under let's say about 3 to 4 years ago, I was really one of those guys that just would say, what, best time ever to be an artist. So let's even go back five. Sorry, time flies. I'll say 5 years. And I was saying like best time ever to be an artist. And it really was in my mind. Like the ability to share content, to get people to see your stuff, follow your work, support your work. It was just, to me, it was just so super easy all of a sudden. Like where art has always been a hard profession to make money at. I mean, I grew up and everybody was telling me, or not everybody, but a lot of people were saying, dude, don't be an artist, get a job at the shop. I grew up in GM town. Everybody's like, just get a job at GM. That's where the money's at. What are you talking about? You're going to be an artist, draw a picture. What are you talking about? It's crazy talk. And I didn't buy into it, but I can't say that I didn't respect some of the people that were trying to steer me and wonder, wow, I mean, they know more than I do. They're my elders, right? They're living good off this life. But like maybe they know something I don't, and I'm just this, young kid or whatever. But I always had a lot of faith in just being an artist. But so spin that around to years ago, doing this YouTube thing and all that. It was just opportunity after opportunity. I'd gotten to learn to draw Action Heroes book. I was getting opportunities to draw more and more for freelance jobs and comic gigs. Not none of the big stuff that I hoped and wanted, but whatever, I was starting to get it. But then, as this stuff got all, I don't want to sound negative, but as AI really started to take its hold, uh, I started seeing people that were really strong in the industry struggle, and that really started to concern me. And then it made me wonder, should I be telling people like art is the best thing ever? Like I love art. You will never see me not do art. You will never see me, as long as I'm on this God's green earth, I'm going to be making pictures, right? That's just the way it is. And I'm also going to strive my very best to always make a living off of it. But I do consider the idea that I've been fortunate, right? I've been an artist, a working artist, really since I was 25. I mean, I owned my own business from 25 to about 12 years ago. Like I sort of, it's hard to say I was just a working artist because the business did other things, but it was art related, and most of what I did was always art. So I was lucky there. But I also made that happen. I mean, I started that business, I figured it out, I made that happen. And then when I shut that down, I just pursued online art and digital content, and I've been fortunate there. It's not as good as it once was, but at the same time, it's still a living. And so it's hard for me to instruct people and say, yeah, go for it, you'll be fine. I can't say that. What I can say is that if you work hard enough, opportunities will open up. But you got to be ready to see those opportunities. You got to be able to look out at the horizon and go, wow, that could work, and I'm willing to put forth enough effort to make that, whatever that thing is, that work. And so I can't blindly tell people, yeah, just follow art, because without knowing enough about you, I don't know what choices you would make in these situations that will require diligence, persistence, being what's the word? Where you pivot well. You got to be able to pivot better in today's world than ever. That's what I'm starting to see. Is that especially with all this AI stuff, AI can do so much now that it's making a lot of people say, well, why bother? Wouldn't I just use this for that and this for that? And it's true in a lot of ways, but it doesn't solve all the issues. In fact, one of the things it just doesn't do well at all, and all of us as artists are extremely lucky for, is it just doesn't uh, help us connect creatively to one another, or anybody for that matter. Like, it can make some neat looking images, but it can't make you feel inspired, right? Have you ever looked at some AI stuff and be like, whoa, that's so, like, you might think it's cool, but you don't connect with it because there's not a real person on the other end. I think that that's really a part that a lot of people don't pay enough attention to, that is so important. And I think there's still issues with it being copyrightable or whatever. Like, anybody making an IP of characters that they want to protect, they're just not going to use that. So that's good. There's a lot to it. I don't want to get into all that. I don't know enough about it, and I actually try not to pay as much attention to it anyways, and just keep creating. But back to your question, is it better to get a 9 to 5? I think that you have to for a while till you can prove that you don't need it. And only you're going to know that. I mean, there's just a lot of things that you're going to have to prove to yourself along the way to know if you can make it. Um, like, you're going to have to, like, first off, can you sell your own art? Can you, so I thought about running this as an experiment, right? And, because I have lots of ideas all the time, and then I don't act on all of them. But like, so this idea of like starting off really small, doing a live stream or a drawing video where I draw original piece of art, right? And I won't say fan art because there's a whole, mess of reasons why you're not supposed to do that. People get mad about this. So I won't say fan art, but it just seems like you would do fan art. But let's say not fan art. And so you draw this picture and you sell it for $5 or even lower. Like, you sell it for $2 plus shipping, whatever it is. And you start so super low that most people are going to look at it and go, well, goodness, why is he selling it so cheap? Yeah, I'll get that. That's nothing. And then you slowly go up, very slowly, not offensively, not ridiculously. You slowly go up, and then you see where it stops, where the sales stop happening, and then you back it back down, and then you wait for your art or your following or both to improve, and then you tick it up a little bit more. And that, you can do that with anything, and that's really where I think that that's like one of those things you could try to see if you could make it as an artist, because you have to at some point learn to sell your work. You have to learn to like place a good um, price point on what you're doing, and then see if that works for you, right? And then you got to do it again and again. And a lot of people struggle right there. That's like one of the big hangups that I witnessed in multiple industries working with artists. They couldn't price their work, and they were always like kicking stuff and kind of yelling at the floor about the customers not paying enough, or and I would watch them negotiate the price, and they would just shoot themselves in the foot, kind of thing. Like, you just have to, like, sometimes, like, you got to say a price and you have to like sit there for a minute, like play poker or whatever. I don't know. There's lots of areas where artists tend to struggle, but that was one of the ones that I saw the most, that I was like, wow. And this person, people that I can think of that did this, like, their work was exceptional. That's another thing that seems to happen. You'll have somebody that has exceptional work, but they lack some other areas that's holding them back. And that's unfortunate, because, you just see so much potential in some people, but they don't, They don't always see it themselves, or they see it, but they just don't know how to price things properly. Like they're so creative that they lack other aspects of business, maybe. Read through these some more. Hey, Ma, good to have you. Thanks for being here. Love you. Uh, okay, so I can't read. What is that? Ison Flamish Rush? I don't know how to say it. Hey Rob, what do you think is the reason that the Western comic style isn't as popular as anime manga? Manga? I would say probably just sheer volume. I mean, if you think about the billions of people uh, that are in those other countries, I mean that's huge. And then, or even if you're talking about the U.S. market, I think that it's probably just because anime and manga is so much more of a friendly, open door appeal to it. Like the cartooning style is a lot more age diverse, I think, where American comics can come across as like, oh, that's for the older kids or that's for the young adults or what. I don't know. Like, I guess I don't know why. I would think that's it, but there's probably a lot more to it. But globally, it's got to definitely be because you know majority of the population is the Asian countries and continents, right? It's like billions compared to millions. So, but yeah, even in the U.S., yeah, I would say that is it bigger in the U.S. though? Is that what you're saying? I never looked at those numbers. And let's see. Another question is: do you think AI will be able to copy styles as well, like Otley or Todd McFarlane, or just generic comic book? No. Eventually, I think it'll be able to do all of it, and I'm not saying that to be negative or freak people out. I'm saying it because it doesn't. To me, it doesn't matter as much as people think it does. Like, yeah, it will be able to do that. I mean, if we've learned anything about technology, it's that technology gets massively faster in shorter bursts of time, over and over. There's a term for that I'm not remembering, but yeah, it just does, right? It's because it's anything that it can do mathematically uh, and it just gets better and faster along with processing power. I think there are some things with processing power where they're bottlenecking. I don't know. I've heard conflicting data on that, but regardless, it's going to get better and better. But I don't think it matters as much as people think it does. I think the tech companies want you to believe that it matters more than anything, and because of that, you better sign up and buy their monthly subscription or whatever AI they're selling you. I think that's what it's really about. I think it's about subscription models and people buying into their tech that they've overextended to their investors. Like they've raised massive, massive sums of money that they're probably not going to be able to back up. A lot of these companies are going to fold. Some are going to thrive. They're all fighting for that. But I don't think that it matters because we connect to each other on a more human level than people care to admit. Like even in this world where we're all sitting behind computers and interacting online, we generally still have that need, if not more so, to try to connect with each other through like Zoom meetings and video calls and live streams. Like because we want to know it's a real person on the other end. So when all that falls apart, it doesn't really matter how good the thing is, It's like a magic box that can pump out beautiful comics, but you're like, whoa, this is killer. And then it becomes a mute point because it's like, nobody, no real human made this. It's a digital trick. I don't know. I just don't see the value in it. But that's just me. But then the other way I look at it is this. All right, maybe that's just me and my dogmatic, narrow-minded perspective, right? Well, guess what? Then I'm just going to find a bunch of weird humans like me and only interact with them. And the world is a massive place, so that shouldn't be too hard. I just look at it like that. Instead of stressing out about, oh my God, all this stuff is going to ruin my opportunities to be an artist. I don't think that's the right way to look at it. Um, and I've tried using it just to be aware of what it can do. it kind of sucks. Like it does certain things really well, and then it just can't do. I can't get it to do. It would not do this pose right here. There's no way. I looked at another human's art, like I mentioned earlier in this live stream. Uh, let me pull up the artist real quick so I don't. It's what's his name? I just had it. Gomez, Carlos Gomez. Sorry, an amazing cover he did for X-Men Legends, right? And mine's not as good. His is better. Mine's a little knockoff. But I studied that, redrew this, right? That I'm learning from that other human being. I was inspired by it because I was like, wow, that's really killer the way that came out. Multiple humans, by the way, because it was him and the colorist. I don't know if he did the inks or not. I have to check on that one. But so to me, that's the process, right? That's the way it's been. That's the way it's gonna be. A lot of us, that's what we enjoy about it, is learning from another human or a creative team, gaining inspiration from it. And I think you just can't take that away. No matter how good it gets, it's just not gonna have that component. And that's really what we all fall in love with about the process, I think. But again, I could be wrong. I'm just giving you my opinions here. Yeah, and so Steve explores more, even said AI can already imitate styles. One was made to imitate Ken Jung Ji. Yeah, total disrespect there to such an amazing artist. God rest his soul. But it's like, yeah, it's just a bad knockoff. Like I don't know. I mean, I'm sitting here talking about how I looked at this other person's work and got inspired and drew this, but I think that's a different thing. Um, and I'm not passing it off on my own as my own, But I'm also trying to, like, if when this gets done, I want you to go find the cover that he did, and then see the differences and see how his is better and make fun of me, whatever you gotta do. But then that's also part of the process. Like, yeah, I got inspired by, like, all right, one of the first covers that inspired me, and I really need to redraw it. It's kind of crazy I haven't. So the first cover that inspired me, like, I mean, just lit my brain box right up, was the golden cover of Spider-Man by McFarlane, where he's sitting on all those webs with all those tiny little spiders in there, and it was the gold foil cover, and it was like one of the first comics where I was like, oh, I want to be a comic artist, And bought that book, and God only knows what that thing would have been worth because I know I lost that one and bought like a different regular cover or silver. I don't even remember, but I don't have that original one that was. I mean, it was hot off the shelves at the time. It's got to be worth a lot now, but um, regardless, it was just so super inspiring to me that I never really thought, like, up until that point when I saw comics, that I wanted to draw them. I just thought, yeah, these are cool, check this out, check that out. And but that one was like immediately pretty much life changing, so that's just the type of stuff right there where when you see another human do something amazing, you can have that profound effect of like, I'm gonna like change my goals and pursue this. And that's that's really what it's all about. I think that's why we're so impressed by other humans and what they can accomplish. It opens the doors in our mind for things that we otherwise would have not thought we could even come close to doing. Not that I could ever draw as well as Todd, but it's the thing is that up until that point, I didn't even really consider that you could have drawn comics and made him look that cool. Like to me, he made it way more exciting to pursue something like that. And then all those guys, from the 90s comics and Liefeld with his button up fly commercial, all that stuff. You know the stories. People watch this channel. I'm sure you all follow that stuff. It was pretty crazy at the time. Well, Rob Liefeld being the youngest. Was he the youngest comic book artist, or was it ever, or is it just something? or he was just pretty darn young. I can't remember if he was the youngest published Marvel artist. Seems like he was. All right, let me read through these comments real quick. Oh yeah, thanks for answering that one, Ma. Yeah, so my ma's here, folks. Everybody say hi to my ma. But yeah, self-taught. I mean, I went to art classes in high school, but that was about it. No formal education. Lots of art books, lots of art videos. One of the reasons I do a lot of the how to draw step-by-step art files is really a tip of the hat to like Wizard Comics. So when Wizard was doing all those tutorials in their books, I was just hooked, right? Like what art kid wasn't, like comic art kid like that. They were just amazing. They still are. I still try to find them. And so I I like sharing them based on that, helping others uh, get better through tutorials. I think that's all you really need. I mean, I shouldn't say it like that, but you need whatever keeps you engaged. So for me, it was art books. Then when the art videos started to come out, that was huge. I was excited to get my eyes on any of that stuff. Bob Ross, loved Bob Ross. God rest his soul. Like it just so all of that, right? And so now, I mean, there's just tons of it, but that's why I do it. Like it's really me just I don't know, giving back or doing more of what I felt was such a pivotal part for me to be able to get better at art because I wasn't able to go to college for it and good art schools or whatever. Um, I just had, but I always had a persistence to just do the thing, and I really think that's the most important part. And again, that's why I say, as long as you're self motivated or you can keep yourself engaged, that's the biggest part because it takes a massive amount of practice to figure out, lots of things like how light and shadow works, how rendering certain things look, and you just have to do a lot of variation there. Um, and that doesn't happen real quick. It takes a lot of trial and error. But if you can get under somebody that's really good, like a mentorship, that's awesome because then they're going to be able to save you a considerable amount of time. Like if I could have studied under, somebody like David Finch, oh, you betcha, I'm going to do that. Like that's going to save a considerable amount of time. And some people have stories like that. Like when they used to have the studios, they talk about when they were able to work under. Well, Finch talks about when he worked under Silvestri. And it's like, wow, could you imagine? Like that would have been so cool to work in a bullpen. I don't know if they call it that. I know Marvel did, but to work with those other creative people in that setting, it's like you just would be so stimulated in the synergy there. I can only imagine. Let me read through these real quick. Get a little sip of my coffee if you guys don't mind. Drinking coffee at 2:13. That's a bit late, but I love coffee. Okay, so Steve says something about, yeah, they are policing the use of AI pretty well. That's what I've been hearing too. A couple of the people in various industries, and I don't want to call out names and things like that, but they've been really impacted by a lot of this, and they are starting to say things like that. Like, no, some of the big companies are really pulling back now. And I would hope so. I would hope that they would place more value on the human component of creativity and the creators involved, and that it would, you know, sort of right itself. Like we would all just support the companies that aren't taking advantage of it. Like I was so mad to see that Coca-Cola ad that was all AI. It's like, come on, really? I mean, I don't drink Coca-Cola anyways, but if I I would have stopped drinking Coca-Cola at that moment. It's just sad. Man, it was a bad looking commercial. Like there was parts again, like where it looked really polished in ways, and then parts where it looked really lackluster and just it lacked soul. It just lacked any discernible soul to it. I don't not even put my finger on it. Just know it ain't right. And I thought that almost immediately before I knew what it was. I was like, man, something ain't right about this. And then all of a sudden it come out that yeah, that was a fully AI generated thingamabob. And it's like, come on, man. Like, I don't know. It just seems like a smack in the face of the people that support you. I mean, don't you realize artists drink a lot of Coke? I don't know. No, it's insulting. You know, I just, and when it's these companies that have more money than they know what to do with, you think they'd be the last ones to do it, but they're actually the first. It's really sad. Oh no, don't feel bad about critiquing it. So say that again. So you're saying the lines under his chest should show form and curve a bit. Yeah, yeah, I'm not done with it. Like a lot of times, that's always my excuse when something's not right. Well, wait, I'm not done with it. Um, do you mean right here? Because a lot of times I'll come back through and I'll curve these like this by like rendering into them. And then also I'm probably going to add a secondary light right here. Or do you mean this part? Or it should curve more? Whatever part you meant, I'm not done with that part. Just kidding. Trying to be funny there, but does that look better? Tell you what, how about I just email this to you and you do it? How about that? No, I'm kidding. And no, you guys are always, it's always appreciated when you do correct my work. I need the help. I need the visual feedback. For some reason, I don't always see the mistakes until I post them online, and then somebody tells me, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty bad." No, the V line from his traps to his upper abs. The V line from his traps to his those traps don't. Oh, the V line would be the suit right here, from his traps to his upper abs. Yeah, I got a pretty big curve there. I don't know what you mean. I'm sorry. How can one submitter showcase their portfolio to enter the comic industry? By the way, love your work. Oh, thanks, Chris. Or Sharad. Sorry, Sharad. Um, yeah. So man, I just saw something where they were doing portfolio reviews. Where was that? I think that I think that basically you have to create your online portfolios everywhere you can, and then look for the portfolio reviews when you can get to them. But I don't know. It's tough. I think that what you're going to hear a lot of people say, and I've heard said in the past. I'll just go with what I've heard the most. Is really the best thing you can do is create your own stuff, even if it's working with another set of people or just making your own short story, whatever. Make your pages, your comic pages, document the whole thing, share it all over the place. I think that's probably the best. And then as soon as you do hear about a portfolio review of some kind, you jump in on that. I'm going to do some more on the channel here where I get your guys' work and we talk about it. Hopefully that'll get everybody some exposure. You just have to try to get as much exposure as you can and hope the right people see it. I don't know. It's a hard one. I don't know what the right answer is there. I think it's that's one of the reasons too. I'm like more concerned with all the fake content out there. Is it makes it sort of harder to instruct people on how to get seen. Before I would have just said, make a DeviantArt site, ArtStation site, and post frequently, throw in some hashtags. I don't think it's that easy anymore. In fact, it's like I think you have to like from everything I've studied, it's almost like you have to rely on video more than ever, because video just captures more attention than just sharing a picture, right? So you almost have to do more of that. But if you're looking to work in comics, you got a lot of opportunity to do that because people love watching the process of pages come together. And it validates that, hey, look what I did here. I created all this from scratch. Like it validates it at the same time. So, yeah, I don't know. Keep an ear to the ground. There's a good site, howtodrawcomics.net. Are you on there on their Facebook group by uh, Clayton Barton? I mean, that's a really good place for comic artists to share their work, get feedback. They run contests once or twice a year. That's the other thing is get in as many contests as you can as well. All right, let's see here. So I think this part comes up like this, to the side. This is all red. So some of this I'll start actually wanting to fill in the color because it makes it easier for me to figure out the rendering. I don't know why, but it does. Oh, and by the way, just to let everybody know, I created a little fun art pack there on my Gumroad for their free brushes that I use to color. I'll show you what they look like. Actually, I got them right here somewhere. So it's just this basic set of brushes that I use for coloring with some blending modes set to them. And it's real simple, not a big set, but it's free. And then I also added some artwork in the set, which is just inked work like this if you guys want to color it. So anyways, just sharing that. I know. I always got to promote myself. But hey, it's free this time. At least I'm not promoting something that I'm charging for. That's when I really feel guilty. Hey, any word on when the new, I say new, but X-Men, the next X-Men season's supposed to come out? Why are they taking so long to get that out? X-Men 87, 97. What is it, 87? What kind of markers would you recommend for a beginner? I would say those Ohuhu ones. And, I'm a little biased because they just sent me those free markers to try out for an upcoming video, but I don't know. They're good markers. I don't know enough about markers. I know everybody would always brag up the, not the Prismacolor. What were the other ones? I guess I don't know that either, but I'm like, I know the ones. No, I don't. Those really expensive markers everybody brags up, but they're like a lot of money. The Ohuhu ones to me are pretty darn good and a lot less money. So I would say those, but you're asking the wrong guy because I really don't use them enough to be, to tell you the real deal on that. So anybody here that's in the stream use markers a lot? Give Corey some advice there. Oh, X-Men 97. I said 87. Man, I'm old. Of course it wasn't 87. Duh. Season 2 will be out this summer. Good. Yeah. I was kind of hoping it'd be sooner. But whatever. Guess I'll just have to wait. No, it's good stuff though. Love that first season. It was awesome. Tell you what, that's where we really had some good. My opinion, we've been really fortunate. The animations lately have been on point. Like you got Invincible, you got X Men '97. And the movies, not so much. I have not been impressed with hardly any of the movies that came out, but the animations I've been entirely impressed. Like they've been just killing it. So I've been more impressed with TV shows than movies lately. So I don't know what happened there. It's like ever since they had like a turning point with things like Game of Thrones, and like you know what? Let's just make the shows better than the movies. Let's just do that and keep people hooked for a lot longer time. There was a passing of the torch there. Yeah, Copics. That was the brand I was trying to remember, and I said Prismacolor. Those are like the big dogs, right? But are there any that are comparable, or maybe not comparable, because it's usually you get what you pay for kind of thing, but pretty good, but maybe not so expensive? But if you don't mind price, Copics are the way to go, right? That's what everybody goes to, and they aren't they refillable, something like that. I think these Ohuhu ones might be as well. Trying to make sure I don't have any tangents here. Can't get the curve I want right there. Come on. See, this is the only part I don't like about having a screen protector. It holds the pencil back just enough where I don't get those nice little organic flips. Not digging those. Oops. Almost. Just keep picking at it. Alright, any more questions, people? Ohuhu brushes are really good. Alternative Copics. I have Copics, but they're very expensive. Yeah, Copics are. And it's like, I mean, when you look at all those colors and then the price per markers are 6, $8, something. I don't know. You just do the math. Like, whoa, I could buy a car. Car or markers? What do I want here? But as artists, we're like, yeah, but I could get the markers and then I could draw cool pictures and people will give me rides to places. Bam, I'm getting the markers. Right? That's how my artist brain thinks. It's really like if I can draw a bunch of cool pictures and then sell them, I can buy a car. So back to that question that somebody asked earlier about is it harder than ever, or should you get a 9 to 5? So in the comments, real quick, like which out of you guys that are watching, do you sell your work? How do you sell it? Do you make sketch cards, covers? What do you do? Any you watching do any of that? Just kind of curious. If not, no big deal. I'm just throwing out opportunities for people to comment. Yeah, and the thing is, like with digital color, it's great. I love digital color. Most of my stuff, I'll show you one I just did actually. So if I go back into here, install a lot of the fan art. I just did this one. I think I shared a clip of it, didn't I? But anyways, digital color, right? and it's far easier. But the only bad thing is that you just don't end up with that tangible art, right? You just don't have something to really sell. I mean, I've had people buy digital art from me, which seems crazy, uh, but nothing replaces being at a show and then selling your artwork to a person, signing it, putting in a little baggie for them. Like, just that's just a cool experience. So that's where markers are great because you are making that tangible art that you can move. And I think in today's world, it seems like it would be more valuable than ever, right? With all this stuff going on, just make more real art, right? I know I sound like a probably a hypocrite because I'm sitting here doing something digitally, but I do make traditional art, so just got to make more of it. Oh, the Corey's like looks like Crayola for me then. Yeah, well, hey, I mean, a good artist can even make Crayolas look good, right? It's all about the artist. Or colored pencils. I mean, look at some of the work done with Prismacolor colored pencils. Those are far more inexpensive. They're still kind of expensive, but I mean, you get good enough with colored pencils, you can make it look like acrylic paint. I mean, I've seen some stuff that I was like looking at it, and oh, there's no way that's colored pencil, and or I thought it was mixed media, and you read into it, and no, there's just people that get really, really good with those pencils. They can blend them and make them look like paint. One of the first times I saw somebody do stuff like that, my art in the beginning was very rarely added shapes of shadows. I just wasn't good enough to know where to put them, and just kind of shied away from that part of my art. Well, I would go to this comic shop, and he let me put my art on the walls, and I was so happy because I was finally getting the well needed and coveted exposure that everybody wants. People can see my art now. And he was like, "Yeah, people have been commenting on it. They really like it." He's just a cool dude, and cool set of guys actually. And so they were kind enough to do that. And then eventually, this guy was like, "Hey, I'd like to color some of your work." And I'd be like, "Man, I'd love that." And he used Prismacolor colored pencils. And all I remember is he made that stuff come to life. Like, it was just insane how well he used those pencils because he knew how to blend them. He knew how to make them flow like almost like you're looking at a painting. And yeah, it was just killer stuff. And up until then, I hadn't even seen my worked color. That was like the first time. And so yeah, I was pretty happy. Yeah, you're talking way back now. This was probably when X-Men '97 would have been going on. The date they're going off of, anyways. All right, let's see here. All right, let me read through these real quick. In my infancy as an artist, literally just started pursuing it. For me, I think I have a non-fictional core motiv- oh non-financial core motivation. Yeah, I mean that's cool when you keep money out of it and keep the love and the passion pure. Because I will be honest, like through my years of like trying to be a working artist, yeah, I've compromised for paydays. You know, not too much, not like I would go way outside of my moral comfort zone or anything like that, but yeah, it's almost part of it. Like I think that's really the reality of like capitalistic society anyways. You look at corporations, it's so apparent, right? The bigger they get, the nastier they get. Like it's almost impossible for them to like scale up and not turn into something you're just like disgusted by. Like it sounds very negative, but I remember watching that movie with George Clooney where he's a politician, and as he's like this ethical type guy. I might slaughter this, but I'm just going to give you my own me- foggy memory of it. And he's like this, guy that's got a moral compass, and as he excels upon the political ladder, he makes compromise after compromise, but he keeps justifying it with something like, "Yeah, but once I'm up there, I'll do all this good." And I think that's the way it works, right? And like all these things, so I'm going really far off what you said, but like just that part where you're like, no, I'm going to keep it non-financial. You will keep a certain purity to it, I think. you know just do what you love, and keep it near and dear to your heart. But yeah, as soon as you start trying to make money with it, it's just you're just more likely to compromise. It's so, especially in today's world where it's so hard to like make a buck off anything. Anyways, it's just really flipping hard. I don't know. Supposed to like motivate and inspire people, right? Not be like, yeah, it's really hard, everybody, but it is. I'd rather be realistic and say, hey, if you're ready to work really hard at it, then okay, you got a chance. You really do have a chance. But if you're not, if you think it's just going to be super easy, yeah, you might have picked the wrong thing. Like if you're trying to survive off it. Now, some people get really good at making one thing and then just keeping their art on the side. You can still be an entrepreneur. You can still, like, all right, you start a coffee shop because who doesn't love coffee? And it's this legal addiction that you get to sell to people. Like, you don't get busted by selling it. Everybody loves you for it. And so you got a bunch of these crazy coffee addicts that keep coming back and buying your $5 mochas. And then you just sit there and draw comics in the back of your mocha place. See? That easy. Boom. There you go. That was free. You're welcome. Go start you a mocha shop. And they're everywhere. And they still manage to thrive. Why? Because people love coffee. And they're hooked. And that's a pretty easy model, sales model. And they buy it daily, like every single day. Like if you can make something somebody's gonna buy every single day, your life's probably a little bit easier, I would imagine. Just looking at the last comment. Have you ever had the chance to work with Joe Madeira? Joe Mad? No, but that would be freaking epic. I would love to have worked with Joe Mad in some capacity. That dude's work is awe inspiring. Battle chasers, all that, just killer. I mean, to me, he like changed. I know they talk about a lot of different people coming in and changing comics. I felt like he changed comics pretty dramatically or noticeably. He's kind of set the bar in a lot of ways for a style shift or something where I don't know, but yeah, no, I've never worked with him. That would have been cool though, or would be if that ever happens. But and then Corey, I had a reading your comment now. I had a conversation with last year with Buzz the artist. He was telling me that he found it way easier to make a living selling his artwork via social media than doing commission work with Marvel or DC. Yeah, I think that for the most part, that's what a lot of artists do. So this is my own interpretation of it, but I think that what many artists do is they do the Marvel and DC work for notoriety, and then the real money comes from commissions. I won't say the artists. I remember being offended when I approached them though. This particular artist that I won't mention, that will remain nameless, and I was so excited to get through to them because I just felt like when you send messages into the void, you never know if somebody's going to respond, right? And they had responded back, and I was like, oh man, I love your work, and I was just like a little fanboy, right? And I'm like, would you do this commission for me? And they're like, yeah, what would you like? And I was like, picture my character and this and that. And they came back with, yeah, $700 for a rough sketch. And that was it. Like, that was the extent of the message. And I was like, so off put. I was just like, wow, like, man, must be nice. Like, $700 for a rough sketch. And I was just like, nah, no thanks. But you know, that person had worked their butts off to get to a pinnacle level where that's normal, right? They've worked up to that point. They can pull that off. They can do that. And now I have more respect for it. I still think it was high, but whatever. You can do that, you know. I was the one wanting their work, you know, like so. But you know, they had the accolades and the book titles from the big guys and stuff like that, and that's why they can pull that off. And so yeah, it's like you do the work for the big companies, you get the recognition or the notoriety, the association from their IP and you know their stuff, and they use that against you. I mean, everybody's heard stories of that, right? That Marvel and DC don't pay. I think DC pays a little bit better these days or something, but Marvel pays really low. They're using it against people. That's what's messed up. You know what it's like? It reminds me of I grew up in the restaurant industry a little bit, and like so, you know, and what I mean by that is I was a dishwasher, but like you know, like you would see the waitresses got really low pay, but it was like they were getting compensated because of their tips, and I just feel like that's so messed up. Like why why do you get to pay them less because they're going to get tipped? Shouldn't they just get that in addition to? You know, it just I don't know. It always seemed crooked to me. And so to me, that's sort of what Marvel does. They're like, look, oh, these people are going to give you high dollar commissions now, and you'll be able to sell the pages and whatever. Shouldn't that just be an addition to, and not? I don't know. Am I just complaining? I'm just complaining, ain't I? I'll zip it. I get on these tangents where I just start to complain, and then I feel bad because I'm like, shouldn't be doing that. Put your big boy pants on and just make art, be happy. Like Bob Ross wouldn't complain, would he? That dude never complained. Oh, audio is still too low? Goodness. Ides of March trying to place the Clooney film. Yeah, I think it was George Clooney and his assistant was the dude from Barbie, Gosling. Like that's the way I remember him. The guy from Barbie. I never watched Barbie, by the way. Did not watch that at all. I don't know why that's the movie that popped in my head, but yeah, I think it is Ides of March. I can look it up. It was a good movie, but it was like, yeah, one of those things of where he was, if I remember correctly, he was making compromises as he ascended to power. It's just a common, you know, idea that that's the way that it goes because power corrupts. And so even the branch or the hierarchy in the process of pursuit, there's a process of corruption. I don't know how to explain it, but let me see if it's Ides of March. Yeah, I think that is it. Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. Oh my god, I've been on here a while. Kind of thought this would be done already, but it's not. Well, man, I really appreciate that many of you stopped in to watch this today. It's awesome. Let me know if I should do more of these, what type I should do. Any suggestions for the future of this channel? Should I just shut it down? Just delete all the videos tomorrow? What would you like me to do? Yeah, that movie did it did have a sad ending. Sorry, I shouldn't be bringing up all these negative concepts with sad endings. What's a movie with a happy ending? Any of those? Um, Smurfs. Smurfs. I think the Smurfs had a good ending. Although I've always been the type of guy to root for Gargamel. Sorry, this poor guy. He's just hungry. Like, wasn't that always Gargamel's motivation, just to like eat the Smurf? Wasn't it? I can't remember. Like, it wasn't like I don't think he was, or was he trying to harness their power, their Smurfiness? I don't remember, but I think he was trying to eat them. Like, man, there had to be way easier things to catch in the woods to eat than a Smurf, but yeah, I appreciate the feedback. So yeah, I'll just keep doing more of the same. Um, yeah, and just more content in general. I am a firm believer that when you don't know what to do, just do something, and so that's usually how I roll. But and then through that process, you just kind of figure things out, anyways. Like it at least avoids the part where you just stagnate and wonder what to do, which leads to inaction. And so, to me, that's always the thing to worry more about, especially with art. Like you just have to keep making art, right? Just get better and better. The more lines you put down, and the more things you can see comparatively in your work. So yeah, I'll finish this one up and then share it. Maybe I'll share a time lapse on one of the social medias like TikTok, Instagram. That way you guys can see the final. I'll probably drop color into this one too. I feel like it's gonna look a lot better with some color. So don't you dare shut this channel down. You should do all the X-Men from the new show, a new one each live stream. There you go. That's an idea. Yeah, I love that show, and I think I could pull the inspiration from it to do that because that's usually what I need, a little bit of inspiration to kind of push me through. But yeah, I feel like they nailed it. That show's awesome. I'm excited to see the next season. And I'm kidding. I wouldn't shut this channel down. I like to just pretend like I would, but even if I stopped doing this stuff, I would leave all the content up for sure. There's no reason not to. I just like the idea that people actually watch uh, the videos and that it's been able to help people. Like I don't know. To me, it's been pretty cool because when I originally started this channel, I was just having fun making videos because it's fun to make videos. Like it's something that's so neat about making a time lapse or recording a drawing video and adding some music to it. It's just a fun experience for me, and that's all. That's the only reason I did it. And then I was like, yeah, I've always learned through tutorials. I might as well do some of that. And some of those took off. And so yeah, it's been a joy for me to be able to do this stuff. And regardless of if it continues to grow or doesn't, I'm just going to continue to do it just because, again, it's that love of it that really is what got me hooked, anyways. So why not continue to do it? And it gives me an outlet that keeps me a bit accountable too. It gives me uh, some direction. I guess just an outlet so that I continue to make art. And that's the biggest part because, again, to get better, we got to do a lot of this stuff. So anything that keeps me engaged is good. And that's another thing too, before I bring this one to a close, is that anything that helps you guys stay engaged, comment and let me know. Let me know on other videos. Let me know. You can always send out a message through my contact form on ramstudiocomics.com. What are some ways I can get you guys engaged to stay on point, be accountable, get your work done, put in your practice. Let me know. If you got any ideas there to motivate you, help inspire you, keep you going, I would love to hear it. Because again, another one of the things that I kind of question in my own mind, if I'm doing properly and helping enough people do that, I don't want to just show you, hey, look at me drawing, hopefully that helps some people get motivated. But what are some ways I can inspire you and motivate you to draw more, to stay on schedule, things like that. Maybe some good food for thought there. And so now I'll just get in here and add about a bajillion little lines, and then I'll start coloring. So far it's shaping up pretty good, I think. Okay, I'm liking it, I'm digging it. Could it be better? Yes. Once I color, it'll look even cooler. Thanks, Ma. I'll do more live streams. Get out of my room, please. No kidding. Thanks, Mom. Love you. All right, so I think that's it. I think I'm going to bring this one to a close. Where are we at? Yeah, hour and 30 minutes. Again, I just want to say thanks to everybody for tuning in and listening to me ramble about as I work on this piece. You're awesome. You rock. Thank you so much. And as always, any requests you got, send them my way. I love the feedback and I love the kick in the pants to say, hey, at least this person told me they want to see this. They want me to do this. And yeah, I'll bring you more live streams because these are fun. And yeah, I think it's a good way to work on my fear of being live. The only way to work on it is to go live, I guess. And eventually I'll maybe put my face on camera. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not going that far. That's just too far. Cool. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. This is Rob Marzullo signing out. So, as always, keep drawing, keep having fun, and bye for now.